Okay, Kill Team 2 Days bringing you another match from Alliance Tournament 7. This is Tormentum versus Notoriety. We're still in qualifying. This match very important for both teams. We're going to take you through setups. Tormentum has brought an AT7 classic here. 2 Tengus, 2 Nighthawks, 1 Rook, 1 Lachesis, 2 Cormorant, 1 Stiletto, and 1 Mollis.
And Notoriety Alliance have brought 2 Golem, 2 Tengu, Vulture, a Manticore, Hyena, and Stiletto. And I noticed that the Tengus for the Notoriety are actually using a different front end on their Tengus. They're actually not running the range one that we've seen. They're running a CPU increase.
Sweet. Match is underway. I see a lot of cap transfer going on for Notoriety between the Golems and Vulture. Golems and Vultures, that's right, and Tengus. Looks like whoa, Notoriety just took out a Stealth Bomber, the Manticore, for, Tormentum took out the Stealth Bomber for Notoriety already.
Yeah, it looked like he was repping back shields, but it wasn't enough, and he was streaming through into structure each time. We've got a lot of ECM drones on the field, some combat Warrior 2s, tournament favourite, flying around as well.
Now I see Notoriety using smart bombs on these Golems. I'm kind of surprised to see them moving as slow as they are, running this this cap transfer turtle tank sort of thing between the Tengus and the Golems. I would have thought these kind of might have been Pandemic Legion, Goon style micro warping Torp Golems, because that would have been really great, but it's not. And they're not even firing at all. So apparently the Tormentum ewar being very effective. I don't really see missiles leaving any of these ships in the center of this tank blob for Notoriety one bit.
Yeah, also we lost the Hyena for Notoriety, so at the moment no damage on the Tormentum side. Looks like some smart bomb fire going off and taking out some of those drones as well. I'm thinking that this Tengu I'm looking at the moment is actually repper fitted, and it's actually repping away the other Tengu.
Yeah, that second Tengu taking some chunks of damage now that Tormentum switched their DPS off the Frigs, but getting repped back real quickly by that other Tengu. I'm real surprised that Notoriety would go for such a tanky setup when they need points so bad. But that Tengu taking huge amounts of damage from the Tormentum. I mean, the Notoriety Tengu taking damage from Tormentum in big chunks. So those Tengu and Nighthawk doing plenty of damage. He's going from about 50% armor down to about 10%, back and forth real quick as the shield repair gets there from the Logistics Tengu.
I think that actually is the Logistics Tengu that's being primaried. I'm seeing some transfer going off from there to what was the Golem, but he's just about holding at the moment at about 20% shields, going back up to 50. Probably got everything overloading at the moment.
Okay, yeah, you're right, I'm dumb. That is the Logistics Tengu. So he's getting a lot of cap transfer, and I guess he just has a real nice local tank. I mean, the amount he's repping back is huge. And he's actually recovering. He's back towards 80 or 90% now.
Yeah, with overloaded reppers on these tech-3 ships, because they're overloading, not taking as much damage on a normal ship, you can run the reps pretty hard for that length of time and get away with it without them burning out. And he seems to be repping every few seconds, and it looks like he's gone over 50% now. It's still going down a little bit, but it's having some serious difficulty at the moment. The Tengus for Tormentum are actually target painting this Logistics Tengu, so they're having no trouble at all hitting him for full damage. They're just having trouble at the moment going through his local rep. As long as he doesn't burn himself out, I think he's alright for the moment.
And I just think it's so interesting how there's no DPS leaving from this team. I keep getting the team. Notoriety. They're not shooting missiles at anybody, from what I can tell, but they're also not jammed. The Tormentum team does have a Rook, but it's not jams that's breaking up the targeting, because they're running cap transfer between each other. So I guess they're damped, maybe by the Cormorants and the Lachesis is enough to keep them from being able to fire back at the Tormentum team, which is holding pretty good range. But it's just it's unfortunate, I guess, to see Notoriety just sitting here and tanking. That Tengu fully recovered now, back to full shields.
Yeah, they switched fire to the other Tengu, and the logistics went on. I see some more cap transfers going around now. It looks like they might have got a couple of jams off, but it wasn't enough to break the amount of cap transfer that's going on here. That second Tengu, the non-logistics Tengu for Notoriety, is now taking some more damage. Maybe they think that they've managed to get a jam off on the logistics Tengu. It gets very confusing when there's two ships that look exactly the same, but one of them's actually repping and the other one isn't. A bit surprised that they haven't got any FOF missiles going out. Maybe they forgot to bring any.
Yeah, I just can't figure out how they... I can see the golems running ECCM. I don't think they're running sensor boosters. The Vulture is, but he doesn't really matter whether or not he gets locks. Or maybe that's just the graphic for the gang link. Looks the same as the sensor booster. But, oh, I saw a missile leave from a golem, I think. No, maybe not. Notoriety not able to fire it now. Tormentum trying to break the tank on one of the golems rather than on either of those Tengus. So logistics coming in for him. He's at about half shields and holding pretty well, it looks like.
Yeah, there's actually Spitfire from Tormentum on the Notoriety golems. One of them in half shield repping back, the other one a sliver of shield. Maybe they meant to do that, maybe they didn't. If they were trying to target switch quickly, they've obviously given up on the second golem. The first one is still repping quite heavily. Interesting setups from that point of view. However, unfortunately, both of these teams are on very low points at the moment, 36 for Tormentum and 38 for Notoriety. If they don't get a convincing victory here, they are not going to go through. So it's all very well bringing these tanky setups, but it's not going to help.
Yeah, I think that we can thank our tournament designer, CCP Claw, for making sure that this kind of dumb, boring tank setup does not do so well in the tournament, because you don't score points. You really, really need to score points. And that's why we're going to see the teams that brought battle cruisers, the teams that brought, Torp golems with micro warps moving on to the finals, and teams like this that can sit here and happily, tank 4,000, 6,000 DPS or whatever, not make it through because they just don't kill enough stuff. Since we have a lot of time while nothing's happening, they're still shooting this golem. He goes down to half shields, something like that. Oh, it looks like Notoriety was able to actually shoot a gun. They hit the Cormorant, which is running damp, so it could actually make a real big difference if they're able to bring it down. He's down to about 10% shields now. I don't know if he'll continue to take damage. Maybe so, going into armor now.
Yeah, and they've also got some fire on one of the maulers. Maybe they have switched to friend or foe missiles, and maybe that's what's happening there. Their Stiletto for Notoriety is now in half shields as well. Don't know whether he's got something to do with this damage. But it looks like that Cormorant is in half armour at the moment, dropping slowly but surely, and that could turn things a little bit. Of course, the sort of metagaming could come in here, and maybe if Notoriety came in here with a really heavily tanking setup just to outlast to the end of the match, they could help take other people out of the tournament.
That would be a new twist on metagaming in these tournaments. That Cormorant now, still taking damage. I still see missiles leaving a golem for the first time. It's just one golem is firing. And yeah, I don't know if that's Stiletto. I'm looking around. I can't tell if that Stiletto has something to do with it or not. That Cormorant, now the damage is slowed down. He got a little bit of shield back. But he's in structure. He's at about 80% structure. And the Tormentum Maulus also at about half shields. But still neither one has died. If they could break these frigs, it might make a huge difference, because Cormorant's definitely holding range, running dampeners, the Maulus running dampeners, and if they could open up the targeting a little bit for this Notoriety team, it might allow them to get some points here, but still nothing died, so maybe nothing will change.
A couple of points for a few frigates and the destroyers and things as the Cormorant finally dies, so something has finally died on the Tormentum side. There's some damage still on the Stiletto for Notoriety. There's still some damage on one of the Tengus. It seems that they've switched fire now to that Tengu again. So the current field we have for Tormentum, the two Tengus, two Nighthawks, Lachesis, Rook, Stiletto, Maulus and Cormorant, and they are still fighting, or at least firing at Notoriety, who have the two Golems, the two Tengu, Vulture and Stiletto.
Yeah, and there's just hardly anything interesting to say. Still, Notoriety sitting in a tight little 5-ship pack like they have been for the whole fight, running reps between each other. The Stiletto for Notoriety is not there with him. He's running around chasing the Maulus, it looks like. Yeah, I see him out near the Maulus, maybe even shooting at the Maulus. Maulus now going into armor. Come on, Mr. Stiletto, kill that Maulus. He's at about half armor, the Maulus is. The Stiletto's painting, we know that for sure, but he hasn't been doing a lot offensively in terms of damage, which is something that ships really would be good to do now. Maulus at about half armor, the Stiletto that's shooting at it at about half shields.
Yeah, the Maulus still dropping slowly. It's the only thing that's happening at the moment is one Maulus taking a small amount of damage. The rest of the ships are just sitting around having a nice cup of tea, I think, and thinking about what they're going to do next.
Yeah, the Maulus went down. Lost a Maulus. And my esteemed comrade Krogan has informed me that Golem is firing again. So perhaps as these frigs start to drop, a little bit more damage will get applied. If they can get 2 battleships shooting, or even a battleship and a Tengu, it'd be enough to make a difference. And now Lachesis for Tormentum starting to take damage. He took 1 volley and went straight to half shields. And if he goes down, that's a lot of damping power. That's a lot of the ewar for the Tormentum team that would be down. He's about to go into armor. And so I guess this still could cascade to where, Notoriety is able to put out enough damage, theoretically, to kill some of these other tanky ships on the other team later on. However, I think the match will probably end before that happens.
Yeah, we had both golems open up and fire some missiles briefly, and then one of them stopped again. So whatever ewar is going on there, obviously the rook for Tormentum is having a big effect here. I suspect that the damps that were running on the Lachesis, they might well have put some targeting delay scripts in there to make it harder for people to target, as well as because they seem to be getting a bit closer in range now, so the range damps aren't going to be as effective. And some smart bombs, I think, went off as well. I saw some drones explode.
Thank goodness they cleared that drone DPS off the field. It really was putting them at risk. That was Notoriety with its smart bomb, getting rid of some Tormentum drones. There was only 5 or so, but they're gone now. The Lachesis has stopped taking damage. He's starting to recover shields passively. He's at just a sliver of armor damage was taken. The only other ships that have taken any damage here, a Stiletto for Tormentum is at about half shields, and the Stiletto for Notoriety now actually taking armor damage for the first time in the fight. He's been in shield damage a little bit for most of the fight. He just took some armor. He's about 80% armor. And actually the Rook just took a volley. The Rook's at half shields now.
Yeah, Stiletto currently burning away from the Notoriety. Stiletto is now burning away from the fight, trying to stay alive a bit longer. Lachesis is regenerating shields with a very sliver of armor damage. He's not taking damage now though. The Rook in half shields doesn't. Nope, another volley hits it as I speak. The Rook slowly taking damage. Again, if they can knock that Rook out of the match first, that means the jammers will go off the field, and then they'll have to deal with the damping. But if the damping is not enough to keep them from the range, because obviously they should be closing in by now, it should be a slightly different match. Unfortunately, I don't know how much longer we've got on this match, but it's going to be quite a long time before anything else happens, I think.
I would switch that wording to, fortunately, we don't have a lot of time left on this match. I'm looking at this Cormorant now. I said earlier the Cormorants were running damps, and I'm looking at him, and it doesn't look like he is. He's just flying around, so I don't really know what purpose he's serving. It's possible he's running ECM, jammers rather than damps. He has a sensor booster, so maybe they turn those into jamming ships. I'm not real sure. The Stiletto for Notoriety now half structure. He could go down by the end of the fight. The Tormentum Rook taking some armor damage. He's now at 60% armor remaining. So if they can get another couple of volleys off, he could wind up dying too. But we'll just have to wait and see.
The excitement is palpable here as Caldari ships fire missiles at each other and nothing much happens. That Rook is taking a couple of volleys here and there. Is now in armour, just under 50% armour left. The Lachesis has pulled pretty much half its shields back already, and one of the Tengu for Tormentum is now got a sliver of shield damage. So again, it could be unfocused FOF fire. Friend of foe missiles obviously not really controllable as to who they're going to shoot, but the Rook is not taking much damage at the moment. It looks like they've stopped again, and so the Stiletto is hanging in there with about 10% structure, which is pretty much fine for a Minmatar ship, because oh no, there he goes, he died, the duct tape fell off.
Failed the Minmatar joke, good try. It's interesting, particularly the Tormentum went for this setup, the 2 Tengus, the 2 Nighthawks, and the Rook, because this is exactly the setup they brought last week, to a T, I believe. Yeah, it matches exactly, and last week they got 36 points, the exact same result. So, you know, I guess this is the worst possible case scenario, is having these 2 teams against each other. Either setup could be effective against, you know, the battlecruiser setups, it's possible that this would work if it was done well, and so they may have been thinking, you know, that we wouldn't run into a similar type of tanky setup with a lot of range abuse, but that just isn't the case, and it's a total nightmare this way because neither team gets the points they need to get through. Nightmare for them, good for us because we don't want any of this crap next week when we're on TV. So, yeah, that Rook regenning shields, everyone's A-okay, thank goodness.
The good news is the match is about to finish, so it looks like both of these teams, having brought the very heavily tanking setups with no DPS, are both going to go out. As you say, it means we don't have to have this kind of thing next week, hopefully.
Yeah, these setups are strong. We've seen missiles, I think, in at least in Alliance Tournament 6 do pretty good, at least in some manifestation. I mean, even Pandemic Legion last fight used a lot of missiles and some Kaldari and jamming, but this just real bland idea of being at 50k and using Nighthawks is not, if nothing else, it's not the way to get you through qualifying by scoring a lot of points when you're really on the bubble. However strong it may be and however strong in theory it may be, it's not good for that. So anyway, match over. Most of the ships make it through. Everyone saves their ISK. Good job. And we won't see you next week. So back to Soundwave.